Yo guys, this video got recommended to me by one of my viewers in Discord. This is the lore recap, all the lore before Warcraft 3 by the YouTube channel called LolLin. It was made 4 years ago when Reforged was coming out. I've never seen it yet. This is all the lore before Warcraft 3, aka Warcraft 1 and 2. I've never seen this. Of course, I have played Warcraft 2, have not played Warcraft 1. I think it's going to be really fun to see where the story started. Let's take a look.
This video was created to explain the story of the Warcraft series leading up to Warcraft 3. None of it is required to understand the plot of Warcraft 3, but it does explain all of the background for the main characters of the Third War, as well as the setup for the war itself. I'm going to be covering Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3 Beyond the Dark Portal, along with the novels Rise of the Horde, The Last Guardian, Lord of the Clans, Arthas, and the War of the Ancients trilogy.
This is I read most of those novels as well. I played Warcraft 1 and 2, Beyond the Dark Portal. I read most of those novels, so it's going to be a nice refresher. You know, as a big-time Warcraft 3 player, sometimes I think I should know more of the lore that is underpinning some of the story. Like when someone asks me, who's Ner'zhul? Who's Khadgar? You know, what are their origins? It's nice to know a little bit more. I technically care more about this lore than history I learned in school of the world.
Abbreviated history, and because of that, I will be skimming over certain details and characters that are irrelevant to the plot of Warcraft 3 and its expansion, The Frozen Throne. Okay, so with all of that, here we go.
Here we go.
Alrighty, if you want to know the lore of the Warcraft games leading up to Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos, you gotta go back a few years. So there's this planet called Draenor. It's inhabited by orcs and also Draenei. The two people are just hanging out when one day an orc chieftain named Ner'zhul is visited by the ghost of his dead wife. She tells him he has to...
The ghost of his dead wife, okay. I knew about the Draenor, knew about the orcs. I don't remember anything about a dead wife. Ner'zhul's dead wife visits him, okay.
Unite the orc clans and everything will be great. Sir Ner'zhul goes off and gets all the orcs together. Now the orcs are shamanistic.
Wait, who are these?
Everything will be great. Sir Ner'zhul goes off and gets all the orcs together.
Grom Hellscream.
Now the orcs are...
Kilrog Deadeye, Kargath Bladefist, and Warchief Blackhand.
Shamanistic. They believe in nature and elemental forces. These elements visit Ner'zhul and go, dude, you're being tricked by a demon. You shouldn't have united all of the orcs. So Ner'zhul resigns from being a part of the new orc horde.
Okay, so it wasn't his dead wife, it was a demon masquerading as his dead wife, right?
By a demon, you shouldn't have united all of the orcs. So Ner'zhul resigns from being a part of the new orc horde, and runner-up to Ner'zhul is a frail orc spellcaster called Gul'dan. But Gul'dan is noticeably evil, so none of the orcs want him to be leader of the orc horde. So instead...
What does it mean, noticeably evil? Just like selfish, power-hungry, corrupt.
Gul'dan gets the biggest, dumbest orc war chief called Blackhand to be his puppet leader, while Gul'dan works backstage. See, Gul'dan is all about gaining more magical power, and the demons who trick Ner'zhul don't even have to bother tricking Gul'dan. Gul'dan is all about trading the orcs' free will to the demons in exchange for dark magic.
He wants power.
Gul'dan is given a bunch of demon blood, and he offers it to the horde, telling them it would make them the strongest, most badass guys around.
Yum.
The orcs drink the blood and start going crazy with bloodlust. They all but massacre the Draenei, and afterwards are still so itching to fight that they just start fighting themselves. Gul'dan realizes that this
is when orcs were still savage, very savage, infighting a lot. Right, initially orcs by Blizzard were written to be really beastly and savage and stuff, partially because of the bloodlust, because of the demon influence, but later they regained like more honor, and you can have more empathy for the orcs as well, like in the World of Warcraft story, Thrall saving people and stuff.
This is a problem, so he gets in contact with his demon masters, and they instruct him to create a giant magic portal which will take the orcs to a new world where they can fight and conquer a whole other species.
I always wondered, why do the demons need the orcs? Why do they need to corrupt the orcs to build a portal? If the demons are so powerful, why don't they just build their own portal and subjugate everyone rather than needing to enslave one of the races to then use them to invade others? They're lazy. A less interesting plot, outsourcing war. They have a budget, right. So they're outsourcing. Yeah, less personal risk, right? Cheap skilled labor. Yeah, okay. There'll be no story then, right? But that sounds almost like plot armor.
With that, they make a giant magical gate. It's called the Dark Portal, and Gul'dan leads the horde through it to a new planet called Azeroth. Okay, so Azeroth is the name of the planet and also the name of the continent, kind of like if Earth was called Australia. So for
I always wondered about that. Azeroth is the world and it's a continent. Actually, that's like where I grew up. Utrecht, the province, has a city called Utrecht. Very confusing.
For the sake of everyone involved, I'm just going to call the planet Azeroth and the continent the Stormwind Kingdom. Cool, cool. Alrighty, so on this new planet Azeroth, located on the southern continent, is where the human kingdom of
I have to say, by the way, if this guy gets anything wrong, I'm just going to believe it. So I am very much under the influence of his narrative. I'm assuming he did all the research so that we don't have to.
Stormwind is. These guys are ruled by King Lane, and he's pretty chill. King Lane has two best friends, the greatest knight who ever lived, Anduin Lothar, and the greatest wizard who ever lived, Medivh. Reports come in from the locals that green monsters have been terrorizing the southern lands of Stormwind. Anduin takes an army to investigate, he meets the orcs, and they fight. This is basically the first war. It's a whole bunch.
Ah, yeah. I never played this, but I know you could only select like maybe 6 or 8 units or something. Maybe 9? Maybe it was less than 9. Maybe it was 4 at the same time. And I believe you couldn't make control groups. I visited the Blizzard office a number of times, and one of the times they showed me this little archaic legacy arcade area that they show the visitors, where there are demo stations, including where you could play Warcraft 1. And yeah, I think it was 4 unit selection in Warcraft 1, and then it became 9. Oh my god, you could select 9 simultaneous units in Warcraft 2, and you could control group them.
Bunch of nothing fights between Anduin Lothar and Warchief Blackhand. Meanwhile, Medivh and his young apprentice Khadgar are trying to figure out who the orcs are, what they want, and how they got to Azeroth to begin with. While trying to figure it out, Khadgar discovers that Medivh actually helped make the dark portal the orcs used. It turns out that Medivh has been possessed by one of the demon lords helping Gul'dan this whole time. Khadgar runs to tell King Lane and Anduin Lothar. King Lane tells the other two to go stop Medivh and that he'll be in charge of the defense of Stormwind while they're gone. Anduin and Khadgar rush over to Medivh's tower, and before they kill Medivh, Khadgar gets cursed by his master, turning him from a teenager into an old man. So they kill Medivh, then Anduin, Lothar, and old man Khadgar.
I have so many questions.
Khadgar rush back to Stormwind just in time to see that it's under siege by the Horde. King Lane gets assassinated and the defense of the kingdom falls. Anduin and Khadgar gather as many people as they can, hop into a bunch of boats, and flee their kingdom. And with
This is actually also covered in the movie, for the most part.
Stormwind in ruins, the Horde takes over, getting ready to pursue the human refugees. Okay, so that's the plot of Warcraft 1, Rise of the Horde, and The Last Guardian. Now we gotta do Warcraft 2. So
Okay.
It turns out that Gul'dan was telepathically connected to Medivh, and when the wizard died, the orc was put into a coma. Gul'dan wakes up a few days or whatever later to find out that the Horde has destroyed Stormwind. Nice.
Nice.
However, his puppet Blackhand was killed by an orc named Orgrim Doomhammer. Not nice. Gul'dan tries to be all like, hey Doomhammer, cool name, I'm kinda like the brains of the Horde, so if you want, I can take control again and it will be great. Except, Doomhammer actually hates Gul'dan and all demon magic.
Isn't this Fairy Fire? Does he cast Fairy Fire on Gul'dan? I think this looks so much like the Druid of the Talon Fairy Fire emoji. It's the Warlock class icon. Oh, I see.
Doomhammer, in fact, killed all of Gul'dan's warlocks and is like, the Horde used to have honor and you ruined it for everybody. Either make yourself useful or I'm going to kill you. Gul'dan brings up the point that the humans have wizards, and since Doomhammer killed all the orc warlocks, the Horde don't have anyone to fight magic users. So then Gul'dan goes over and resurrects the corpses of human knights, but he puts the souls of orc warlocks inside of them. These guys are called Death Knights, and they have the physical skills of a warrior and all the magical skills of a warlock.
Of course, Master.
Doomhammer is like,
That's the sounds they made in Warcraft 2. Just thought I should invoke that memory
fine, you can stay
to help you get in the mood.
alive, but I'm still in charge of the Horde. Gul'dan isn't happy that he isn't in charge anymore, and Doomhammer is still debating about killing Gul'dan, but they, along with the rest of the Horde, hop inside some boats and go chase.
How are these Death Knights different from Lich King Death Knights? Well, they can cast Death and Decay, which was like Death Coil. And then they had Raise Dead, and they're Warcraft 2 spellcasters. They have like 4 spells. And the later Death Knights in Warcraft 3, they only have Coil and Unholy Aura Death Pact, Animate Dead. These are the first Death Knights, and they are Orc Warlocks.
Chasing after the humans. Speaking of humans, the northern continent of Azeroth is called the Eastern Kingdoms, with the biggest kingdom being Lordaeron. The refugees show up in the kingdom of Lordaeron, and Anduin, Lothar, and Khadgar run into the cleverly named capital city, shouting about how the orcs are coming. So King Taranis II is the ruler of Lordaeron, and he's all about getting
May he live long.
all the kingdoms together to
Misspelled Terranos, but...
fight the orcs. So all these kingdoms unite and they make Anduin Lothar leader of the Human Alliance army. The elves of Quel'Thalas don't take the orc threat seriously enough though, and they only leave one group of archers behind to be a part of the human army. And
that sounds so Lothar. Sending one squadron of elves to help the humans in their hour of greatest need is so elvish. I mean, I'm not racist, but it happened in Lothar, it happened in Warcraft.
Holy priests, after hearing about the orc warlocks and death knights, decide to offer up a counter. They're going to fight
so selfish. So selfish. Nice. Elfish, selfish.
Decide to offer up a counter. They're going to fight demon magic with holy magic, so they send in the Knights of the Silver Hand to join the Alliance army.
Ooh.
These guys are paladins, and the notable ones are Tyrion Forgering, Uther the Lightbringer, and Thralian. Thralian fits right in with the boys from Stormwind. Anduin becomes a mentor to him, and he and Khadgar become fast friends. Thralian also sparks a friendship with the leader of the Elven Archers, Illyria Windrunner. So these four are the big heroes of the Alliance, and before you know it, they'll have to face off against the Orcish Horde. The orcs have finally caught up to the humans, and
it's so cool how he has all the characters in a card form, right? It makes for like a cool art to promote the storytelling. I feel like Warcraft universe would also lend itself really well to an actual card game.
Lordaeron, and Anduin Lothar takes the Alliance army out to fight against them. Even with Death Knights, the orcs aren't doing great against the Alliance forces, so Doomhammer just starts retreating to try and find a way to get around the Alliance army. Lothar and Thralian each split the army up and each take half.
I couldn't see it, that'd be crazy.
Lothar to protect Capital City and Thralian to chase after Doomhammer. The Horde decides to go around through the hinterlands and Airy Peak. There, they bring out their new weapons, Red Dragons. Thralian is not prepared, but his army is saved by the arrival of Dwarven Griffin Riders. These dwarves are led by Kur'drin Wildhammer. Kur'drin teams up with Thralian to fight the orcs, but the Horde keeps running away from combat. Doomhammer comes across some useful allies of his own, the Amani Trolls, led by Zul'jin. The two forces team up, but Zul'jin will only help Doomhammer take Capital City if the Horde takes the Elfish Kingdom of Quel'Thalas first.
Oh yeah, okay. Man, those trolls, so competitive with the elves. But then they could join forces in the Horde. I wonder where the ogres come in.
They start making their way up through the mountains and begin a siege against the Elf Kingdom. Thrall and his army show up to Quel'Thalas, but the kingdom is already on fire. While the elves are still standing and fighting, they're not winning against the Orcish Horde, not until Thralian joins the fray anyway. With two armies pincering him, Doomhammer withdraws from the battle, taking the Horde back to regroup. He tells Zul'jin that strategically it would be better to take out the humans first, then come back and finish off the elves. Zul'jin disagrees and the two split apart. Orgrim gets the Horde back together and plans an assault on Capital City. He made a deal with a jealous human lord to allow him through a neighboring kingdom and
Aiden Perinold. I barely remember this guy.
surprise Anduin Lothar's defense force. Thralian is still miles behind in Quel'Thalas. It's a perfect opening for the Horde to burn down another human kingdom. The two armies meet, the full might of the Horde versus Anduin's half of the human army, but Anduin Lothar is a tough guy to beat. The Alliance holds the Horde at bay, but they're slowly breaking.
Okay. Did you know that trolls and elves share ancestry, the same ancient race? Really? Are trolls perhaps like elves once, but twisted and contorted into a new form, my Uruk-hai?
Unfortunately for the Horde though, Gul'dan takes this opportunity to take some of the Orc army in Philly. He was shown vision.
Elves were trolls? What? Elves in Warcraft lore evolved from trolls? Exposed to arcane magic. Wow. Living near the Well of Eternity became elves. Huh. Is it like Europeans that lived in America, exposed to liberty, became Americans? It's like that? Yeah? Wow, it's exactly like that. Interesting.
Visions of a powerful demon artifact, one that would make him a god, so he convinces an orc clan or two to leave with him. They set sail to an island, open up a demon tomb, and Gul'dan and his minions are devoured by what lays inside. Back in Lordaeron, Orgrim is down
What lays inside?
some troops, but he's not out. Yet. When Thrall shows up with his army of humans and dwarven griffin riders and reinforcements from Quel'Thalas, that's when Orgrim Doomhammer is out. The orc starts retreating all the way out of Lordaeron to reach their new orcish stronghold, Black Rock Mountain. Now with a fully united human army and the armies of the other races, Anduin Lothar chases after the horde. The two armies meet at Black Rock Mountain and Orgrim Doomhammer kills Anduin Lothar in battle. Enraged by the...
That's such an overchase. I figured this was going to be an overchase. I didn't know how it's going to end, but generally you shouldn't chase someone all the way back to their base. If you have map control already, and they're wasting their time running back home, you need to have a really high chance of success to chase them all the way back. Otherwise, you can just start creeping around their base, take map control, take an expansion and whatnot.
And the armies of the other races, Anduin Lothar chases after the horde.
Such a
The
rookie
two
mistake.
armies meet at Black Rock Mountain and Orgrim Doomhammer kills Anduin Lothar in battle. Enraged by the death of his mentor, Thrall defeats Doomhammer and imprisons him.
Oh, that's actually pretty unusual. Usually if you lose someone early, especially like your main hero, you should pull back. But maybe Orgrim Doomhammer still had a lot of cooldowns running, so Thrall knew that the best time to strike was now, able to actually save it. I'm sure that his master was like space created or something, or worth, but I think Thrall saved it and carried here.
The orcs slowly get rallied up and are imprisoned, and the second war ends. Almost. So this part isn't particularly important to...
So Doomhammer is like GG, but it was like fake GG? He says GG and they think the war is over, but then actually they're rebuilding somewhere else.
Warcraft 3, and I'll just skim over the finer points. The red dragons that were captured by the orcs were freed by 3 heroes. The Alliance
Hold
starts
on a second.
The red dragons that...
Alexstrasza, Crassus. He said the red dragons, but Crassus looks blue.
that were captured by the orcs were freed.
But he's a consort of the queen. So yeah, Alexstrasza, I remember all the way back in Warcraft 2 was actually, and I thought this was a pretty cool story, like pretty dark. In Warcraft 2, orcs in the Horde actually had black dragons as their flying unit. They made a sound that sounds a little bit like this. Something like that. And they had Alexstrasza strapped up in a mountain as their slave breeding dragon queen. And apparently they brought in then Crassus to impregnate her, and they kept making babies and training them for the Horde. And then they rode them. I think that's a pretty dark story to tell. And I don't think Warcraft 2's age rating was that high, because I played it when I was a young teen. And then eventually she was freed. I would imagine you'd be super traumatized. And that's a terrible fate to have.
Freed by 3
So Falstad, Wildhammer, Ronin, and Verisa Windrunner freed them. I've never heard of Verisa Windrunner. Have you guys? There's like a third sister, Farstrider. This is not Illyria. It's not Sylvanas. Verisa.
heroes. The Alliance starts rebuilding Stormwind. The humans make a giant fortress outside of the Dark Portal, where Tyrallion, Khadgar, Illyria, and Draenor all hold up in case the orcs come back. Meanwhile, on Draenor, Ner'zhul gets roused to save the orcs. One of the Death Knights, Teron Gorfin, is sent back to Azeroth to collect a few specific...
Oh, Teron Gorfin was so cool in Warcraft 2. Very strong Death Knight. But I think no natural regeneration. Used to create dark portals, the Book of Medivh, and the Eye of Dalaran.
items. A small orc force heads into Azeroth, dodges Tyrallion's defenses, and heads out to find these mystical items. Teron Gorfin teams up with a Black Dragon Aspect Deathwing to get everything they need. Once all the items are gathered, Gorfin and Deathwing head back through the Dark Portal. Tyrallion and his friends lead a force called the Sons of Lothar to go after the orcs into their home world. The orcs, being led by Ner'zhul, head to the Black Temple, all while the Sons of Lothar are hot on their heels. Ner'zhul gets to the Black Temple and starts...
Illyria is part of the Sons of Lothar. Grubby, if you want to know more lore, I would recommend playing WoW. It sounds like you haven't. Yeah, I could spend 1,000 hours to figure out the story of WoW. That's a bit of a big grind just to know the story. Just live a second life. I prefer to do recap videos.
A ritual to open a new dark portal for his people to flee through. Unfortunately for everyone involved, Ner'zhul summons too many dark portals and rips his world apart. Literally. Everyone on Draenor, Tyrallion, Illyria, Kurdran, Gorfin, Ner'zhul, and every orc and human on the planet were lost forever as the planet was demolished.
Lost?
That is until later, but for all of Warcraft 3 related purposes, that's basically what happens. And that is a summary of
Wait, lost how? And how many dark portals did he make and where did they go? Have I read the Warcraft books? I've read a lot of the Warcraft books, yeah. Like Lord of the Clan and the Ancient Trilogy or whatever.
Warcraft 2 and its expansion. Okay, now we're almost done, just a few more things to get through. So, Orgrim Doomhammer escapes the prisons of Lordaeron and disappears into the wilds. Meanwhile, all the orcs that were captured at Blackrock Mountain have been put into internment camps for the past decade or so. And one of the camps, called Durnhold, the human warden Blackmore, has found a baby orc and...
Oh, yes, I remember this. And then he thought it was a good idea to train Thrall in the ways of human war and to use his pet, Thrall, who he didn't see as a son or anything, but more of a slave, ergo the name Thrall, which means slave, to use him and his strength to gain the edge in war against orcs. So he has the orcan heart and power, but knows everything there is to know about how humans wage war. That seems smart and couldn't possibly go wrong.
Raised him.
It's like having a pet tiger. Right, a pet sentient tiger. Yeah, he wanted to make him a gladiator. Isn't Varian the gladiator?
Blackmore wanted to have a personal gladiator, so he taught the baby to have all the strategy and intelligence of a human, but with all the strength and tenacity of an orc.
Exactly.
He named his would-be gladiator Thrall.
Okay, you're right. It is a gladiator. Okay, so he's just using him for entertainment. So, yeah, he's a pet tiger, and he's always going to keep control of him. It's like a little Jurassic Park experiment in order to be monetized. We're back to content creation.
When Thrall grew up, he escaped Durnhold.
No! He escaped! Oh, God, no. I could not have expected this.
He comes across Orgrim Doomhammer and Grom Hellscream. Orgrim was good friends with Thrall's father, and he tells Thrall everything about their homeworld and of Thrall's parents.
Now, this is a bit like when your adopted child asks to meet their real parents. You're always afraid, aren't you? No matter how good of a dad you were, and I would say that the slave driver, what was his name?
When Thrall grew up,
Orgrim was good friends with Thrall. Was not the best of parents. So you always wonder, like, are you suddenly going to have new loyalties to your parents who didn't even raise you? Did I not give you a roof and a sword to fight with in my gladiator, you ungrateful Thrall?
Father, and he tells Thrall everything about their homeworld and of Thrall.
Then he's like, oh my god, Draenor sounds awesome. The grass is always greener on the other side. It's like, oh, I feel like an orc at heart. I'm gonna backstab these humans and free all the other orcs from the internment camp. So ungrateful.
Parents. Doomhammer and Hellscream comment about the uses of demon magic and how the orcs were corrupted. They tell Thrall about the old ways of the orcs, about shamanism and embracing the elements. Thrall ventures out to find his father's old clan, the Frostwolves. They teach Thrall how to be a shaman, and then when Thrall returns, he and Doomhammer team up with Grom Hellscream to liberate as many internment camps as possible.
This is one of my favorite parts of the storyline, though, no cap. Thrall, like, you can actually super empathize with Thrall. His parents were about to die, and they were living in disapproval of Gul'dan, who wanted to have everyone drink demon blood. So Durotan, Thrall's father, and the wifey put him in a river. He got found, he survived, and then he gets raised as a slave. Obviously wants to break free as a slave, and then he learns about his past, how orcs are not abominable barbaric creatures, and actually can live with honor, and without the influence of the demons, they break free from the influence, and he starts saving all the other orcs. I think this is one of the best parts of the story.
When they eventually get to the internment camp Durnhold, Doomhammer is killed during the liberation raid. In his last breaths, Doomhammer gives Thrall his weapon and his armor and claims that Thrall should be the war chief of the new Horde. Thrall and Hellscream are currently liberating orcs and dodging Alliance forces in the Arathi Highlands by the start of Warcraft 3.
Yes.
So for this backstory, we'll have to travel back in time 10,000 years. Forever ago, the continents of Azeroth were all connected, kind of like Pangaea. The race that dominated the world at the time were beings called the Night Elves. The Night Elves were heavy magic users, and they gained their magical powers from this thing called the Well of Eternity. However, Demon Lords, the same evil Demon Lords from Warcraft 1, go into contact with the Night Elf Queen, Queen Azshara. Queen Azshara decides to work with the demons and summon them into her world. Meanwhile, a small band of...
I'm missing the motivation here. Of course, Queen Azshara, she's a Naga. You can't see it here. We only see the upper part, which looks relatively alluring. But the lower part is, it's all tentacles, isn't it? It's a Cthulhu nightmare. Or is she... Oh, she's still an elf now. Oh, okay. All right. Ah, yeah. So at some point she gets... I know this is a spoiler, but like her countenance sinks and she becomes a Naga. So why does she just decide to work with him? I guess because she's a user and this is like a very convincing... I guess she's using the gateway drug of the Well of Eternity, and then Sargeras offers even more.
Same evil demon lord powers from this thing called the Well of Eternity. However, demon lords, the same evil demon lords from Warcraft 1, go into contact with the Night Elf Queen, Queen Azshara.
Yeah.
Queen Azshara decides to work with the demons and summon them into her world. Meanwhile, a small band of heroes disagree with that idea.
Yeah.
They are the brothers Malfurion and Illidan Stormrage, Priestess Tyrande Whisperwind, and the demigod of the forest, Cenarius.
Man, Tyrande keeps looking younger and younger every new artwork that I see of her. There's so many... It's actually so funny how many different artists work on different iterations of the same characters we know that just make them look like completely different people.
Together, using holy magic from the moon and druidic magic from nature, they start to fight against the Night Elves, trying to bring the demons over. More and more of the Night Elf population begins to side with Malfurion and his friends, but by then it's too late. The demons have been summoned into Azeroth. Queen Azshara...
Hakar the Houndmaster. I honestly don't think I've ever heard of that character. Or if I did, I don't remember. Hakar the Houndmaster. Is he a Fire Lord? Like, what was his name? Ragnaros. It kind of looks like Ragnaros. He's a skeleton? Hakar's a boss? He's probably a boss in WoW. In books he's talked about a bunch. No, we just saw Illidan Woblight. He's not that important. He was in the Well of Eternity novel. Okay, I definitely read that, but, you know, I don't think they used the animation so that I would see him.
Azshara and her highborn followers set up to summon the Lord of the Demons while the Lesser Demon army goes and defeats the Uprising. Malfurion, his friends, the Night Elf army, all of the demigods, most of the dragons, and some other guys.
Whoa! Aviana... Sorry, I'm covering Aviana. Aviana, Wild God. Tortola, Wild God. He's a turtle. Goldrin. Agamaga.
All team up at Mount Hyjal and push back against the demon forces. With enough room to break through, Malfurion, Illidan, and Tyrande get to the Well of Eternity and destroy it, separating the world into massive continents, stopping the demon ritual and defeating Queen Azshara. No longer able to use the magic from the Well of Eternity, the dragons provide a giant magical tree for the Night Elves along with teaching them druidic magic. The big tree grants the Night Elves immortality, but before everyone can go home and say job well done, Illidan does something stupid.
Does it?
Illidan isn't big on druid magic, and his lust for the Well of Eternity's power had him sneak away with a few vials of the well. When Illidan tries to recreate the Well of Eternity, Malfurion and the Night Elf leaders catch him and imprison him. The Night Elves now stay on their western...
Was it stupid though, or is that just judgmental? Because what if we need this power from the Well of Eternity later? It would be irresponsible just to let it go to waste. He refused rehab. It was stupid. Why shouldn't he have it? Then again, this is out of order. Tree comes after him making the well. It is out of order. Are you red shirt guy confident, Santa Lama? After all, why shouldn't I keep it? Yes, it's true. In truth, it was him who was betrayed. He was jealous. Yeah. I know that Illidan eventually made good, important decisions that others didn't understand, but maybe this one was just him being power hungry.
Continent at Kalimdor, far away from any of the wars between orcs and humans. Until Warcraft 3. Okay, almost done. Bear with me. King Taranis II is still ruler of Lordaeron, and his young son Arthas has recently become a paladin. Under the tutelage of Uther the Lightbringer, Arthas has defeated trolls, bandits, and orcs. Arthas had a girlfriend once upon a time, the mage Jaina Proud.
I have never seen this artwork of Jaina. Nor does it look like the Jaina from Warcraft 3. Nor the Jaina from World of Warcraft, for that matter. That's young Jaina. I mean, I would go so far as to say this is not Jaina. I don't know if this is like user art or AI remake. All from Hearthstone. I don't think this is from Hearthstone. I think he's using some kind of Hearthstone card generator where he can add in the own text and the own art. It doesn't look like Jaina. Guys, what's her eye color?
More, but he was focused on helping the people and she was focused on becoming a great wizard. And by the start of Warcraft 3, Jaina is attending the Warcraft version of Hogwarts and Arthas is spending his days helping folks in need alongside Uther. And finally, the last thing that happens before Warcraft 3 starts, the absolute last thing you need to know, is after the destruction of Draenor, Ner'zhul.
She is actually, that's actually her real art from Hearthstone Adventure. Oh, I should play some Hearthstone Adventure. I guess I was never too big on the single player mode for Hearthstone. I mostly played Arena and Battlegrounds. But pretty cool. Hearthstone has a Book of Heroes solo adventure that tells story of the characters. Jaina appears there. That Jaina appears there. Okay. Solo adventures are really good. Nice.
It turns out, is still alive. He was sucked into the realm of the demon lords who tried to manipulate him at the start of the video. The demons torture Ner'zhul, rip his flesh from his body, then his spirit from his remains, and put him into a giant block of ice and dump him on Azeroth.
Why? Why? They tore the flesh from his body, they tore the spirit from his essence, and then dumped all of it, like a paper mache, into a block of ice. Plot. So he's the Lich King? Oh my god. I feel like you're joking. You probably knew that, no? Ner'zhul being the Lich King?
Ner'zhul is now a tool for the demons, and his job as the Lich King of the Undead is to wipe out all living things that stand against the demons and their burning legion.
That backfired, didn't it? Because that seems like a pretty good idea. You make some kind of, there must always be a Lich King in perpetuity avatar, which sole purpose is destruction of all the living. That sounds great. And then you just control them since it's your own making. But just like the Lich King eventually could not be controlled by the demons anymore, so could Blizzard not control their own company anymore after they sold out to their demons, Activision. Turns out if you sometimes you create something, you have something, but then there's a hostile takeover.
And that about does it. I abbreviated some things here, skipped some things there, but all in all, this is the important stuff that happens leading up to Warcraft 3. I tackled the events from Warcraft 1, 2, Beyond the Dark Portal, the books, and
Blizzard didn't sell out, they didn't have any choice, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I followed that recently, the lore of the Blizzard buying out. They had a choice a very, very long time ago. So the original founders of Blizzard, they sold for just a few million or something to some company, and then that company was bought over by someone else, bought over by someone else, bought over by someone else, Vivendi, French company, etc. And eventually Activision absorbed that. I don't think there was a moment where Blizzard decided to be merging with Activision. It's kind of like destiny. From the very time of their birth, the whispers of the merger was happening, just like Arthas was destined to become the Lich King. From the very moment of his birth, the very Forest of Lordaeron whispered his name. Yeah, Davidson, Associates, there's a whole bunch of subsidiaries. A lot of business stuff and how it all eventually happened. And again, this happened before WoW. If Blizzard had not taken some millions to be bought over by some company, they may never have had the funding to create some of the scope of the games that they made afterwards. So all the good is with all the bad. But I gotta say, I do love it when you've got a company like Larian that is still private, or Valve that can do things at their own pace and with their own quality.
We even talked about some stuff from the game manual that was released alongside the original Warcraft 3. Hopefully this was explained coherently and made some sort of sense and was somewhat entertaining. If you enjoyed the video, let me know. If you want to know more about the lore, I'll leave some links in the description. Thanks a lot for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you all in Reforged.
Yeah, I'll see you there. Though I haven't seen him, since. Maybe he's made more Reforged stuff. Follow up classic WoW lore video. And maybe we can watch this next time. That I know a lot less about that because I never really played classic WoW all that much. Cool. Nice video.